everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Debbie. Today on my channel, we're going to be making a pumpkin spice monkey bread. I love monkey bread, as they call it. I loved making it with my mother. She did it a different way, but we're going to try it this other way. It's a little bit quicker, so stay tuned for how we do that. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. Love those thumbs up. And hit the bell icon so you're notified of every video I upload. Let's get into making our pumpkin spice monkey bread. So the first thing we want to do is you have a Bundt pan, fluted pan, whatever they call it. I have had this forever. You can see inside it's kind of marked up. I probably should look into getting a new one. This might even be coated with stuff that isn't good for you anymore. So I'm going to look into getting a new one. I just thought about that. I've had this since I was married, and we have been married over 40 years. So we're going to grease the inside of our pan. Just going to take a little shortening and work it in all those little grooves and go around. Yeah, my mom used to make monkey bread, cinnamon monkey bread, pull apart bread, whatever you want to call it. You know what she used to call it? I just thought of this. She used to call it bubble bread. And I just learned like a few years later that people called it monkey bread. I'm like, I don't know. I don't even want to think about why. Anyway, so I like to call it bubble bread because my mom did. And she made it really good. She made it with frozen bread dough. You know how you can buy loaves of frozen bread dough in the freezer. Like I think the brand is Rhodes. She used to preheating your oven to 350, of course. You heard that. She used to buy the bread loaves, and they were frozen, and she would just leave them in the refrigerator overnight. They'd kind of be puffed up a little bit in the plastic bag when we got up the next day, and then we would proceed to pull them apart into the ball shape, to the bubble shape, and roll them in melted butter, cinnamon, and sugar, and put them in our pan. And any little extra bit of the butter that was left over with the cinnamon sugar that got mixed in there, she just drizzled it around the top, and she baked it like that. That was her bubble bread. But today we're going to be doing a spiced pumpkin bubble bread. I'm going to call it bubble bread. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to, in a plastic bag, we're going to add our sugar. And the sugar is a half a cup of sugar. We're just going to dump that into a plastic baggie. And the next ingredient we're going to put in is our cinnamon and our pumpkin pie spice. Okay, so we're going to add a teaspoon of each of those. So there's our teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice right into the bag. And because I don't want to mix my spices, I'm going to be using a half a teaspoon for my cinnamon. And I'll double that to make it the teaspoon. I could have probably did my teaspoon of cinnamon first. So there's a half. And then there's 2. And then that way, if a little cinnamon got into my pumpkin pie spice, it would be fine. Because pumpkin pie spice has cinnamon in it. And I think it also has nutmeg, maybe some ginger. I'm not sure what else, but I think those are the main ingredients in pumpkin pie spice. We'll just shake it around a little bit. There's our sugary mixture to roll our, delicious. I am so ready. I think I said on one of my other videos for fall. So coming up, I'm going to start a bunch of pumpkin recipes. So stay tuned for those. You'll want to share those with your friends or make them for your friends and family who come over to visit during the fall. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take 2 cans of biscuits. And we're going to open them. Oh, dang. This says October, so, but they're ready. They say, I'm ready to come out. I like them like that, though. The other day, I was making some cinnamon rolls out of a can. My grandkids stayed with me for the whole weekend for Labor Day. And I made some of those canned cinnamon rolls they like. Oh, my gosh. Again, that's October. I don't know. This is only the beginning of September. So anyway, so I made a can the last couple times I made those cinnamon rolls for my grandkids out of the can. I couldn't hardly peel the paper off of those. And then when I got the paper peeled off, I don't like to hit the corners, the edges of my counter. I just don't like it. So I usually take a knife and I try to put it in there and just twist it a little bit. It usually pops right open. I couldn't get them, excuse me, I won't say it, but I couldn't get those sweet little cinnamon roll can to pop open. But anyway, I did eventually get it. So anyway, let's get back to this. So we're going to cut these biscuits into fourths. And I have my kitchen shears. This is what only thing I use them for. And they are washed. I'm going to grab, let me see here. I have an extra baggie laying here. I'm going to place these on the baggie. This is the only thing I use these for is in my kitchen. And they're washed frequently. So we're going to cut these into fourths. You can pull them apart. You can break them apart into fourths, whatever you prefer to do, whatever easier for you. So let me do that and we'll come back. Okay, we have our biscuits cut up. The next thing it says is to toss them all into here. I'm not sure they're going to all fit like that. And then you place them in your pan. So I just may do a few at a time. I don't want them to get all stuck together and then the goodness doesn't get on every side of them. See, it's just sugared and cinnamon on every side, a little bit of that pumpkin spice. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Just layering a bottom layer in there. Drop and shake. Drop and coat. Whatever you want to say. A few more in. So I'm going to continue to do this again until I get all of these coated, shaken, and we'll be back. So enjoy the fast mode. Last one going in, and that was enough. I have a little bit left over. I may sprinkle a little bit in there. Don't want to waste it. And then we're going to make our gooey coating that goes on here. So in a small bowl, we're going to take 1/4 cup of pumpkin puree. Doesn't sound like a lot. Oh my, look at my hands. Let me wipe that off. Smells like pumpkin. cinnamon. So 1/4 cup of pumpkin puree. Now, obviously, this can has way more than 1/4 cup in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a mason jar, and I'm going to put it in my refrigerator because the next recipe, of course, is going to call for some more pumpkin puree. So let's get this 1/4 cup of pumpkin in here. So when you make yours, take it out of the can and sit it into a mason jar also and save it. And then within a couple days or so, I'll be adding another pumpkin recipe after you see this one, and you use your pumpkin puree that way so we don't waste it. Okay, so 1/4 cup of pumpkin puree. We're going to do 1/3 cup of melted butter. And I did melt it. It's been sitting out for just a bit. So it started to go back a little bit, but it's okay. It's still very, very melted and soft. We're going to just put that in there with our puree. And then we're going to add a cup of brown sugar. A little scooper to get the rest out. It's kind of getting at the bottom there. I like to pack my brown sugar. I don't want to skimp on it, you know. I don't want to get myself short on it. So I like to pack it. This is going to make the gooey goodness in our pumpkin spice bubble bread. So there's my cup. We're going to stir the brown sugar, the butter, and the pumpkin puree all together. Okay, I'll be honest, I went over and I zapped it a little bit because it was kind of thick. So I zapped it so my butter remelted, and now it's more like a liquid because you're going to want to pour this over your stuff. So that way it's more liquidy. So I'm going to stir that, make sure that's good and incorporated. Okay, so here's what we have so far. Got a little brown sugar on my counter. Put that in there. There's what we have so far. So now we're going to take this mixture and we're just going to pour it over the top. I do things both left-handed and right-handed sometimes. It's just kind of natural for me, but then sometimes certain things I'm like, what? That's kind of hard to do that way. And then I look, I'm like, oh, I'm doing it left-handed. So now we're going to pop this in our oven. Oh, man. Smells good already. We're going to pop this in our oven for about 30 minutes, okay? And I'll meet you back here. Okay, so our timer just went off. I ended up baking mine about 34 minutes. So let's get it out of here. Oh, it looks good. Ooh, she hot. I'm going to set it here on my rack. It said to cool in the pan about 10 minutes. So let's let it cool. And then we'll be back to dump it, and I'll show you what it looks like and tastes like. My wooden spoon laying here, I'm going to do a little craft out of that. It's got a little bitty crack on the top, so I don't really want to use it for food because food will get stuck down in there and germs and bacteria maybe. So I'm going to make a craft out of it. You have to stay tuned for that. All right, we're going to let this cool. I'll see you back here. Okay, so we've let it cool 10 minutes. Let me get out some hot pads. There's what she looks like. Smelling really good. I'm just going to put my plate on top of my pan like that. I'm hoping this is a big enough plate that it doesn't ooze out over the sides, but if it does, it does. And we're going to turn this over. Let's see if I can do this. Try to do it without burning myself. It's okay. Ooh, that pan is still really warm. Okay, looks like a piece stuck in there, one little piece, so that's not too bad. I'll just have to eat that piece. Oh, look how gooey. Oh my goodness. Can you see that? Oh, ooh, that would be not good. I better leave it sit. I'll be making a mess. Okay, so let me taste this piece that's left in here. Okay, I'm using a fork because this pan is so hot. I just don't want to get burnt. Here we go. Can you tell? I really like it. Oh my goodness. This is delicious. The pumpkin taste in there, and that pumpkin pie spice, and that little extra cinnamon kick, and the biscuits are just so soft. And with it being warm, ooh, this is good. If I always tell you, you gotta try this. You gotta try this, and I mean it's easy. It didn't take that long. I did bake it 34 minutes. I looked at it at like 30 minutes, and I was like, kind of lifted up a little bit of the biscuit under the first, and it looked maybe just a little touch doughy. So I went ahead and left it in there. It says 30 to 32, and I baked mine 34. But again, it just depends on your oven. So you guys should try this and pass this recipe along. This is going to get everybody into the fall spirit. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Bye.